Assalamu alaikum, Dumelang. Welcome back to the Mid Morning Show with Mamole Fesihumi on Salam Media. We are now going to delve into something that you might find relevant if you are a parent. I think you will. And we're going to talk to Nozipho Mlambo, who's a certified parenting coach. There's a lot of gems that she offers, or lets you tap into what you know or about she's going to expertise and that kind of thing. So this is where parenting matters in a world where it seems like the child it's just child orientated or just parent orientated. It's actually a balance. Nozipho, are you with us? Good morning.
Yes, I am. Hello and good afternoon to Salam Media listeners.
It is actually afternoon, my bad. Welcome.
Hello. Thank
Welcome, sis. Welcome. So it says you're a certified parenting coach, right?
Yes.
But I know there must be things like these almost seem like something that you are being sent out to do. What makes you do what you're doing? This parenting coaching thing that you do, what makes you do it?
Thank you. Thank you, Mamlife, for having me on your show. And thank you for the powerful question. And what makes me do what I do is I just think and I believe that parenting is one of the hardest things that any parent is called to do. And we do it with so little support and resources that we very often as parents feel like we are failing at this, and that all the struggles that we go through, we think that we are alone in them, and that's not really the case. I think we all go through very similar challenges, but because we don't get to speak about them often. So I do what I do because I believe that the way that we parent is the most important thing that we'll ever do in this world.
Mm. Thank you so much because what you've just said, you've actually captured someone else's words probably or what they are thinking. So let me just let the listeners in into what we're going to talk about. So what Nozipo is going to do for us is to navigate everyday struggles with children's behavior, cooperation and resistance. For parents who know the frustration of every request turning into a fight, that just got real. When something is set down and it's said, and you're like, I think I've seen this, or I think I'm going through this. Let's just get into it, right? We're talking about boundaries, right? Today we are tackling boundaries. Sometimes we think just giving and giving and giving and letting and letting and letting with no end inside is what will bring peace in the house between the parent and the child. Why do you think we need those boundaries? Why do we need boundaries?
Hmm. Mama Lefe and listeners, I think what we normally find is like two sides of complete opposite ends. Sometimes when our child says no to us, we get so we afraid. Oh my word! Like my child is saying no, and then we'll give in to whatever they want,
Mm.
or we will be so overly strict that everything is a no, and then the children start like being scared of us. So what often happens is that like when there's also like an argument, the parents will say something like, okay, we'll take a simple example like let's switch off the TV. The child says no, and at that point many of us as parents feel so challenged by it that we it becomes about who's going to win. So the parent becomes firmer, and then they raise their voice and they start shouting, and the more they raise their voice and start shouting, the child pushes back even harder, and then suddenly everyone is frustrated. The parent is frustrated, the child is frustrated, but what's really happening is that the child is feeling controlled, like all human beings, adults as included, is that we resist control as humans. So the moment then, while that is happening, the moment then shifts from guidance, where as the parents we should be offering the guidance, to a battle of wills, like whose will is going to end up winning. And then those are the cycles that continue and keep us stuck for many, many families. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. One of the things that you mentioned here to say why boundaries so often become arguments.
Yes.
Why do they
Yes.
become arguments? Why is it a tug of war? Yes, it's a battle of the wills, as you call it. But why does it end up being just a loud argument, and probably the loudest or the one who's got more theatrics wins?
Mm, mm. Because because of that control. I think what I didn't answer yours was on the boundaries. Why are boundaries important? Is that that's what makes children feel safe. I think when all parents understand that you're not being the bad cop, your child is not being bad, boundaries are there as a structure to help everyone in the family, especially the kids, feel safe. So when the children are feeling controlled, and that's happening, when everything is turning into this battle of back and forth, is that we are, our role as the parents is to come in and guide. And when we are in flight mode and we constantly wanting to fight our children, then that takes us out of that mode of offering that guidance. Then you can't be guiding anymore because you are totally like upset and they upset and nothing ever happens, and you end up being a cycle, and a cycle that nobody wins at the end of the day. So instead of getting into that back and forth argument with your child, it's really about now the importance of taking a step back and saying, really, it's a child is just being a child, and they're not doing this to challenge you or to make you or questioning your authority.
Mm, mm. So you're saying which step is it that we are skipping here? I see listening, and what are we skipping as parents?
And what the thing that is the pause and listening before we come and enforce the boundary, because it almost normally feels like an emergency that we must go in and fix, and we want to fix now
Mm,
because we're scared that our child is just going to go rogue and they're going to go and do all sorts of things. But when we don't take a pause and listen, is that then the child doesn't feel heard.
mm,
Ultimately, it's about coming in, and you might say something like, I see you really enjoying what you're doing. Tell me what's making it hard for you to stop. And when the child is like, and it's really that simple, when they see that you're on their side and you want to hear them, they actually start to calm down,
mm.
and they feel that you are hearing them, and they feel that their voice to you as their parent matters. And that is important because being heard is one of the most basic human needs, not only for children, but for adults as well. And it doesn't also mean that now, because parents, I know they worry, like, oh, okay, now I'm listening. So does it mean that they get to do whatever they want? No, listening doesn't mean the boundary disappears. If it's about switching off the TV and it's time to go do something, that boundary still stays. It just simply means that connection comes first before putting the boundary in place.
Mhm.
Because when you've heard the child feel heard, then you connect. Then when they've connected with you, they they are going to then cooperate with what you are asking, and then the guidance then comes second after the connection.
So that's actually what we are looking for, cooperation.
Yes.
Yes, in this relationship and in this round table that we have the time have with the kids, we are looking for them to cooperate with us. And on hindsight, they're also probably looking and yearning for us to cooperate with them.
Yes.
In terms of, you spoke about seeing them, listening to them, hearing them, and then you pause and then you listen. And from there, the child sees that they are seen, they are acknowledged as a human being.
Yes. Yes. And that's often the first step that we skip as parents.
Mm. Yo, it sounds a bit tricky because, we always have a point of reference when it comes to parenting. After that
Yes.
time, everyone, the generation before us, our mothers and our fathers, they know a certain type of parenting.
Mm.
And we are here now with the generation that we have now, and we're trying to make things work. And we now have our parents as a point of reference. There's a bit of a gap between the two, because
Yes.
there's that generation, I bet you've heard it before, because I said so.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
yes, if there's for instance, where you setting boundaries, and instead of because I said so, how would you phrase words like that?
Mm, mm. And that is after you've listened, the
Mm,
next thing is to explain the why behind the boundary. So many of us, like you alluded to earlier, is that we never had that when we were growing up. And it was always because I said so. And now, the children we're raising now, we can no longer rely on the methods that were used on us. They are living in a completely different world to ours, exposed to so much. And because for us, instead of saying I said so, you connect to the boundary to something that is meaningful. So, for example, let's take bedtime, for instance. If your family bedtime is 9 o'clock, it is becomes a value of yours at home to say, for us, it's important for our family that our bodies need rest so that
mm,
we have energy tomorrow to do all the things we need to do. Then the child actually goes, oh, okay. So my mom is not just telling me I need to go to bed because they don't want me around or whatever. It's
mm,
connected to a deeper value in our home, that we value rest and we honor our bodies, and we want our bodies to rest. And yes, it doesn't mean they're going to just suddenly go, oh, okay, that's fine, let's do it. What's going to happen is they're going to start internalizing that value as something that is important, because they understand the why behind that
mm,
boundary. And then it stops feeling like they're being controlled, but it's something that makes sense for them. It makes sense in the family because it's rooted in a core family value. So you're not just only reacting in that moment, but it's something that's consistently that you practice as a family because you value bodies
mm,
that are rested, as an example.
mm. That actually sounds like something that every human being would like, you know.
Yes.
Just we heard the why, we always need to know the why and all that, and then it's like, okay, we actually on the same page.
Yes.
We're going to be wrapping up. I wish we could be having even an hour or more, because this is very relevant. But one of the important things that I'm going to take from you, one thing that I wanted to say, that is it safe to say the setting of boundaries, it's not the same for all. It's not a one blanket for all families.
Yes, yes, 100% true, because every family is different. It's no one size fits all. Everyone values different things. And if you set the boundary around what's important to you and your family, then it's something that you can consistently carry through. Then all the boundary that you have set is rooted in a family value, then that's what makes it stick. And
Mm,
also, like, I want to also, just before we wrap up this part of our conversation, is that the importance of inviting cooperation while you are setting that boundary. Still going back to the example of bedtime, it's offering like the choices. Like, would you like me to come tuck you in bed, or must I walk you to the bed?
mm,
Then they gives them choice. It doesn't take away the boundary. Bedtime still stays. It's still 9 o'clock. We still value rest. When you're now giving them choices, must I come with you or you go on your own? And because now they've had that kind of uh, choice, then they like most likely to cooperate.
mm. Okay, then to wrap up, I think this is an important one to wrap up. You talk about how the way parents perceive and speak about their children can shape behavior over time. Can we
Yes,
conclude with that one? Because I think that's a very important one.
yes, yes. Because what we say about our children believe the words that come out of their mouth, and then that's what shapes them to who they become. And they are incredibly sensitive
Mm,
to everything around them and what is being said and shared, especially when it comes to them and what they internalize.
mm. That actually reminds me of a saying. Yeah, I think even in Zulu, it's there. In the Nguni languages, it's there. It's maybe other cultures as well. But ka Setswana ba re, leina lebe ke seromo. If you name a child, for instance, you are sending them out to do something. So words start with the naming, and also now what you say to them, and they start, your perception of them. It's linked to the name from what I see. May we talk kind words and shaping words. Kind doesn't mean no boundaries.
Yes.
Uh, there's kindness with boundaries. Actually, boundaries are because of that, and also because you want to see what you've put in to help beyond your family raise a responsible human being who's conscious about a whole lot of things around them. Nozi, I wish we could sit and talk more, but tomorrow I believe we'll have a segment again where you'll be advising again. And I'm hoping that before we actually finish this conversation, you can let us know if people now are curious and want to look into what you are doing. Where can they go? What can
Yes,
they?
they can go to my, thank you so much for that. They can go into my website. They will find, I go by, I'm a founder of Parenting for Success. So my website is parentingforsuccess.co.za. And also on Instagram, I go by the name of Nozipho Mlambo as well.
Thank you
Thank you.
kindly. Thank you kindly, Nozi. We're looking forward to what you're going to be sharing with us tomorrow. And yeah, let's raise these beautiful ones who are born. And we've been, trusted by the Most High to actually just hold their hand through
Yes,
the different chapters of their lives.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for tuning in. Salam Media.
Thank you so much. And that's Nozipho Mlambo, parenting coach, certified parenting coach. You don't want to miss. If you want, you can actually go back and listen to this interview. And you can also follow her. That's parentingforsuccess.co.za. And tomorrow we'll have a smaller Nyana section again where we'll drink from her well of wisdom and guidance and advice. And we'll go for an ad break. Thank you, Nozi.
Thank you so much. Bye.